When I travel overseas, call me international dollar. Accepted everywhere across hemispheres, grad school scholar. Verbally poetic, spiritually prophetic. Travel this globe in hopes of finding poetry spewing from native tongues. If you think you've reached your peak, wait until you hear that next poet speak. Everyone has a story to tell, and poetry does it well. What's your story?
Please help me in welcoming to the Poetry Globe stage, straight from the People's Republic of Brooklyn, Ainsley Burrows. Thank you for being here, sir. We appreciate you. Have a seat.
Cool.
Ainsley, it's good to see you, man. I met you a while back on stage. It was amazing when I saw you. I thought that your voice was incredible, your actual delivery voice, and the things that you were talking about and getting into. Now, I know that you've been able to make a career out of poetry.
Yeah.
Specifically in the last few years with something near and dear to your heart and other parts of the anatomy.
Yeah.
The sweet spot.
Yes.
From what I gather, a 25 city tour, that 30 city tour, they tell me.
Yeah.
30 city tour. It's really an experience of sight, sound,
touch,
taste, pleasure,
smell. it's sensory engagement.
Overload.
Engagement. All your senses.
Tell me a little bit about why you created that platform. I know from the poetry side, but you have different types of art forms on that stage.
Yeah.
So tell me how that came together. What sparked that idea?
Originally, when the show started, it was mainly an erotic poetry show. But I like painting, so we used to have a live painter on stage painting. So it would be erotic poetry, live painting, and a live band.
Okay.
That was it originally. It used to be once a year.
Okay.
And
annual.
Yeah, and then in like 2009, we started doing it quarterly. And when you're doing it once a year, it's cool to have once a year. You get music, poetry, some paint. But if you're doing it every 3 months, you're gonna have to make it more interesting. So we brought in dance. Then that evolved into like burlesque. Then we felt like, besides just the erotica part and the entertainment part, we need to give people like some kind of like information. So we brought in a sexpert that could give you sexpert advice. And people really take it.
Saw a bit of a reation from people that maybe people didn't really expect.
Yeah, somebody be like, you know what, that thing that that Nakima spoke about, I tried it and it works.
Okay. Have you ever gotten feedback from your audience after leaving the show?
About the show?
About the show and what they've taken home from the show?
People tend to not know how to describe what they experienced. All they know they could say is like, I got there.
They have no words.
And it was just fun from start to finish. It was just fun. And they'll tell their friends, and their friends are like, what did you experience? And I always ask people, what was it like for you? It's like, I don't know how to put it into words. You've been, right?
I've been, yeah.
Yes. What is it like for you? What is it?
You know, I used the word overload when I described it back to you, and I think that's appropriate because you get so much out of one show. You know, you really packed a lot of quality entertainment into that show. Yeah. So I think overload is the word that I would go with, and that's in a positive. That's in a positive way. Yeah. Sensory overload. I love it. I love it. It was amazing. I saw yourself, some other people. It was great. That show travels nationally. Yeah. You've touched down in a lot of cities. Yeah. Tell me, what's been the experience from city to city for the sweet spot? You know, do you guys get a chance to get out into the city, or what do you see as a reaction from different cities?
In general, people love the show, and especially outside of New York, because New York is still kind of like That's New York.
Ice Grill.
So you go to like DC is our biggest. DC and Atlanta is our biggest markets.
Okay.
So like we
You did
did
a big theater in DC,
like
right?
1,500 people in DC. We did
Get your tickets early.
1,600 people in February in Atlanta. We just did Charlotte. We did like 600 something people.
That's amazing.
And this is we're based in New York, and we could go to New Orleans and sell 350 tickets. Miami,
Right.
450 people. California, and it's all packed venues. And I think it has to do with the talent that we have,
Okay.
and the organization that we have, and the fact that everybody that's a part of the show love what they're doing, and people come and they see it and they feel it. And they're like, I want to share this with my friends. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
a big part of the success of the show has to just do purely with the talent.
Okay. So
And
you
then-
have a lot of different talent that you've recruited yourself.
Yes.
Coming on that stage.
Yeah.
That's great. Now talking about going from city to city,
Yeah.
just being on the poetry scene. You've
Yeah.
been on the scene for a long time. You know, you talked about
Very
different
long
cities.
time.
You talked about different cities. You know,
Yeah.
we had a conversation before, and and it's something that I completely, agree with and have the same sentiment. And why we're doing this show here.
Yeah.
You're not a starving artist,
No.
right?
And I don't think that. I think we need to get that word out of our vocabulary. If you're an artist,
I completely
there should
agree.
be no starving involved with what you're doing. Starving artist is not a good thing. Like it's actually counter to what the universe is about. If you think about it, artists
Break it
are
down.
creating every day. You're creating, and it's like watch the people who are creating and giving insight, happiness, joy, engage in the world, be the poorest people in the world. It's
pouring
totally,
everything out
yeah.
for the people.
It's just, I think it's counter, and I get a lot of pushback from my fellow artists who I don't know if they're in love with the idea of being a starving artist, but I don't
hope
agree
not.
with it. And sometimes if you are around people and you don't believe what they believe, they kind of push you to the side, like give you the long arm. But I am fully invested in not starving. I want to live off my art. I want my friends and family to be able to live off my art, and I don't want to die poor after giving your entire life to art. It's not fair. I don't think it's
You should be able to
fair.
pass something down.
Yes.
Your artwork alone is going to be worth enough for the kids and the grandkids. I've seen it. I've been to the show. So let's talk about some of the projects that keeps you as a working, employed,
Yeah.
financially successful artist. Your latest project,
Yeah.
which I absolutely love,
Yeah.
is titled Neo Chaos,
Yes.
correct?
Yes. Neo
And
Chaos.
this is a album,
Yes.
and there's an art exhibit
Yeah.
titled the same,
Yeah.
Neo Chaos, that
Yeah.
balances out with
Yeah.
that, correct?
Yes.
On the cover is red, black, and white. You have there's two slave ships on
Yes.
the cover. Can you give us some insight into where that cover came from?
The idea for the cover was it's almost like it's a throwback to what got us here, but at the top of the slave ship is a half of a slave ship.
That's,
At the top
that's
of it,
a long throwback.
at the top of it,
That's
Hey,
way
listen.
back.
Hey, that's half of the throwback. I could have gone another 10,000 years earlier. You know what I'm saying? And
save that for
you know,
the next interview.
Yeah. So it's the bottom half of it is a slave ship. It's a drawing of a slave ship, and the top half is a drawing of a bullet, right?
Okay.
So-
I didn't pick up on it. I missed it.
Yeah,
Missed
it's
it.
a lot of stuff. Sometimes it's a second
That's
go
good.
around, a third go around. I actually got that idea for the slave ship off of a Bob Marley album cover called Survival.
Okay.
And I saw that album my entire life as a kid. And it wasn't until I was an adult I realized, oh shoot, it's a slave ship.
Right. So you didn't catch it either.
I didn't catch it until I was
I just
yeah.
knew.
But sometimes you don't need to get it at that moment because it's not relevant, right? But
Right.
the moment you get it is the moment that's you're like, oh wow, I needed that now. So the bottom half is a slave ship and the top part is a bullet. So it's like it's this thing where like you are here as this quote thing that is being suppressed under the ship, but at the
Okay.
same time, you are the thing that could destroy the whole thing.
Okay.
And that's what Neo Chaos is about.
I'm gonna go take
The
another
whole
look
entire
at
universe is chaotic.
Talk a little bit more about that.
So they'll tell you about. I'm gonna tell you where the whole idea comes from, right? So, in Greek philosophy, which they actually took out of African philosophy, right? They have this god called Zeus, and they only speak about Zeus. Rarely they'll talk about Gaia and Cronus and the gods above Zeus, right? But also above all those gods, which are basically just facets of nature, right, is this one god called Chaos.
Okay.
And in ancient Egypt, that's Nut, which is the female form, and under it is the entire universe, right? It's still a metaphor, of course, about the nature of the universe, right? So we avoid chaos.
We sure do.
Purposely, the same way how they get rid of women out of religion. And it's Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. It's like, it's this fear of the woman, but the universe is woman. It is masculine and feminine, but they get rid of the feminine part out of it, but it's always going to be there, because every single day, everything in the universe moves.
On the album,
Yeah.
you have I listened to the whole thing. You have a few artists on there.
Yeah.
You have some very intriguing production.
Yeah.
It goes a little bit hip-hop, a little bit EDM. Can you just tell us a little bit about the artists that you worked with? Because I thought it was great to see those features and the way the production moved
Yeah.
with the album. It switched up, but it maintained. It switched genres, but
Yeah.
it maintained a pattern.
It maintained the chaos.
Yeah, it maintained the chaos.
Yeah.
That was
Yes.
the theme throughout.
Yeah, so I'm fully invested in chaos, like fully, 100%.
Who did you work with on those songs?
The
not
tracks,
just songs,
the music
right? 'Cause
itself,
there's music, there's
the
production, there's
music
poetry.
itself, right? I lease the music
Okay.
from somebody that produced it, and then what I do is I go and rearrange it. So I arrange it to match what I want to
So
say.
you break the track down and rebuild it?
I don't, kind of like, somebody might give me a track and it's verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. And I might want to have chorus, 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 chorus.
Okay, so you do some arranging of your own.
Yeah, I rearrange it. And I have one of my fellow poets that we travel around the country, Israel the Poets, on there, Deacon Jackson. The speaking voice that you hear in all the tracks is L'Oreal Noel, which is my lady right here.
You did a good job.
Yeah.
You did a good job. You like it.
Yeah. So she's on there, and then I had the last track, which is a posse cut. It's like a bunch of poets and MCs that I know. Sharif Ali, Twan X, Shaka Campbell, Sean B, Pharaoh Z, and one other person.
Hey, we're going to
You know
show
who
them
you
love.
are.
And what I like about that is recently I've said, you know what we don't have in hip-hop anymore is posse cuts. So we're going to pump your track and pump this out as the new posse cut.
Oh, nice.
I like it. It's dope.
Thank you so much, man.
You have another project. So you are a poet,
Yes.
author,
Yes.
painter,
Yes.
screenwriter.
Yes.
You have a book, Bang, 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 Bang.
Yes.
When I heard that title, I just thought, oh yeah, Sweet Spot.
Yeah.
All over again.
Yeah.
But this is a fiction,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Tell us about how that story came about.
We used to have a person that come to the Sweet Spot and read from her book of short stories.
Okay.
She had erotic short stories. And I felt like they could be a little more involved. So I kind of like was looking around for like source material. So I was reading like Zane.
I remember that.
And I was kind of like, the story is there, but the writing I didn't really appreciate too much.
Okay.
Like, Zane, we cool, but so I was like, I'm a writer, I'm a poet.
Absolutely.
I'm like, why don't, instead of me saying, oh, it doesn't exist, why don't you just create it? So I
Do the work.
I took a couple of days and I wrote it.
That's an interesting point. You do work fast, and I
Yes,
learned that
yes.
recently.
Yeah.
A couple of days. How many
I
pages is that book?
It's 250 something pages. I wrote it in 22 days.
Don't tell me you can't get something done. I went to your Neo Chaos art
Yeah.
exhibit. And talking about working fast, you told me there that you did all of that work. You displayed maybe 8 pieces, but mentioned that there's several more in the series. And you told me you did all that work over the course of a weekend.
2 weekends.
2 weekends.
Yes.
But I like, and that was, wow, that was amazing. Then you told me your process for that, on why you're able to come in on a weekend and create that.
Yeah.
What's that process?
Like, I could be sitting right here right now, and I'll be thinking about a song that I want to make, how I want it laid out, who I want on it.
Right now, in the interview.
Yes,
you're
while
writing
I'm
a song in your head.
yes.
What's the title?
All right, so this one I can't tell you because we have this alternative universe that the whole Sweet Sauce crew has, where we make these albums. No, we make these albums. Okay. We'll make an entire album. It's all aliases, all pretend people, and go to the studio, make an entire album, and put it out on the internet, and don't tell anybody who that we did it. And people go on there and think it's a real album.
Is it for sale?
No, it's free. It's on the internet.
Give it to the people. But
it's a joke. We do it as a joke.
But people love it.
No, we do. Like,
you're too talented.
No, we honestly, like, just as like we're driving and we having conversation, because we're in this tour bus for like hours and hours. We drive into Charlotte or Atlanta, or we go into the Midwest, and we have a ton of time, right? So we're like talking. We're like, it'd be a really cool song if you made a song about this. And we was talking about it for like 2-3 years, and then one day I was like, why don't we just make it? And we took 3 days. Right. We got a studio time. We made an entire album, got the cover design, everything, and put it up on the internet. I'll send you the link.
Send me the link. I'll send it out to the people. And we're going to take a look at that project, too. Yeah. Your process is amazing. You work fast. You think and create.
No, I think about it before, because I kind of had to, because as a traveling poet before, I used to be in a different city almost every night for 10 months. Wow. So I don't really have the time to create, but then I might be home for a couple days or, that time I'm like, okay, I have to get this screenplay done. Right. And I just I'm thinking about the story.
Man. You don't waste time. You don't waste time.
Hey.
Have you become a resource for others with your current success?
I totally believe in the idea that as a group, you could go further than as an individual. And I used to travel by myself, and it's cool, like, it's dope, whatever. But like, the end of the day, it's like, it's just me traveling. But when you're traveling with like your crew, it's like 12 of y'all rolling up in the city, and you burn it down, and you leave. You feel good, like you just have a better feeling inside. It's it's me and my peoples, and we came down here, we rocked out, and we chilling. And I love that. I love that idea, and I have tons of friends that I had this idea, like this would be cool if we did this, and they was like, you know what, let's do it.
Good, that's
and
great,
we keep doing it every single day, and I, just here to share.
It's great to have that kind of support. I want to thank you guys for sitting here with us and talking to Ainsley Burrows. We'll be back in a moment with a performance from the man himself. He's going to show you what some of that neo-chaos is all about. Thank you, Ainsley.
Thank you.
This is Ainsley's newest album, Neo-Chaos. You can find it and his other work at neochaosnow.com.
This first piece I'm going to do is called Uneven Dreams. I stood in the scorpion of her, deep in the wet of her soft, moving flesh flushed against mine, eyes filled with emotions, tears intact. I'm sorry, but I can't love you. Still moving deep in the tender of the swan's purple, fingers whispering, teething the flesh from my back like candles looking for excuses. She, the medicine woman, with juniper hands, and at the moment of orgasm she promised me that when she died, she would will her womb to give birth to me the next life so she could love me unconditionally. That was 17,000 years ago when we existed as echoes in a windstorm on an imploding planet, 2 universes, over embracing the thread of her is. I danced with illusions, embroidered in mystery, murdered by many men. She too was alone, searching, unaware, walking into walls, dragging her broken heart around in a steel cage. This daughter of a blacksmith, laying atop my easel like a parable, interwoven into the paper of my being bleeding. I read her 2 chapters from a book of zebras. She stopped me and said she spent the past 400 years giving out eyes at the gate of a city looking for you, which strangely explained the first 3 years of my life. Caught my breath, drowning, woke up in a coffin, cotton stuffed in my nostrils, insides empty, eyes removed. She was gone, and the silence tasted like embalming fluid on my lips, a tender knocking, like a kiss at the door of my conscience. It was this old woman, wrinkled and waxy, white-haired, beaming, transfixed. I was Buddha. She handed me a liquid marble that emitted so much light. I broke out in tears, crying for no reason, crying because I understood, crying because I didn't understand, cried so hard it became 1920. She, now a jazz singer, under red lights, dancing in strands of cigar smoke, winked. It became 1828. She, now my wet nurse, smiling, I screaming, brought forward, broke her heart at the prom, brought back, broke her heart before I met her, just so she would keep her distance. Died twice as a child, avoiding her. She aborted me once, moved to China, changed her race, just so our paths wouldn't cross, just so our crosses wouldn't path, until one London evening, I got a card in the post, pictured the slim Asian woman with stolen eyes, eyes stolen from a lover, me, she, joined circles, on the forehead of the dust-quilted children, knitted from ether, blown around in circles, and in her left shoulder, burning bright blue or black candle waxed with tears, forever frozen black, she pulled me into the photo. The photo fell, falling into another slice of the universe, where she sat, burning, embers floating like bubbles above her head, pulling pins from her aura, each pin a lifetime wasted, each lifetime in the form of a song, each song an ember, blazed, singing, emitting so much light, I blinked. And in that instant, 17 faces of the same woman, eons ago, centuries ago, years ago, futures ago, and before I could say, what is your name, she vanished. And I'm in this diner, and she's serving black coffee and donuts to a trucker with a white beard and a red cap, tagged, made in China. She walks over to my table and places a plate with 2 eggs, bleeding like eyes looking up at me. I looked up at her. Have I seen you someplace before? She says no, and walks out of the diner like a jazz singer, like a wet nurse, like the daughter of a blacksmith, and leaves me with my heart chained to her pillow. I'm sorry, but I can't love you. Maybe in another lifetime. Thank you. So I wrote this poem, it's called Black Boy. He's a street corner, a stoop, a blindfolded blunt, a nuclear bomb in the middle of Brooklyn. He's a thunderclap in the womb of death. He's a black boy, a tranquilized metaphor, the twice ghettoed shackled to the midnight in his hands. And he's shooting hoops. He's shooting off at the mouth, middle passage in his cornrows, maps back to the interior, back to Shango, back to the spirits, babbling, spitting, multidimensional black boys, cotton fields, tobacco sheds, apartheid, Jim Crow, church boy, field hands, crossover, like time travel, in slave ship tenements. He's a fifth of vodka, the black requiem lost in fragments of its own genius. He's government cheese and divinity. He's food stamps and infinity, immune to the cyanide in the quarter water. The heat translates these dark boys. The heat translates these dark boys into small songs, into a canvas of spilled insanity, into the chaos trapped in a star's heartbeat. All this chaos, this conjured oblivion, this resistance among the dark boys with their scrawny arms and their sagging pants, their scarlet eyes, squeezed
tight by cannabis, seeds of confusion, the perfume of wasted years in his collarbones, and he's addicted to street corners and malt liquor. He's addicted to the taste of his forefathers' sweat in the tobacco leaves. All this Hennessy dreaming beneath his tongue, next to the razor, next to the history of ancestors planted below Wall Street, next to the memories of a father he's never seen. And he wants to go places. He really, really wants to go places. So he's writing his name on everything that moves. Penned his greatest verse on the window of a train and watched it slide off into the killing twilight. It said, "Dear world, what have I done for you to hate me so?" He's a black buffalo, walking backwards through the wheat, survivor of a million noosed philosophies. Africa choked from his acoustics, a dying world on his face, poplar splints from sea to shining blindness. He was born invisible with a tornado smile. Sit still, black boy. Keep calm, black boy. Don't move, black boy. And Shango can't save him from these men who pray to the turbine and the jet engine, to their cell phones and their murdered minks, to their satellites and their news briefs. But he doesn't care because he's a street corner, a stoop, a blindfolded, blunted nuclear bomb in the middle of Brooklyn. He's a thunderclap in the womb of death. He's a black boy. Thank you.
Good to have you. Thank you all for being here. In closing, I'll leave you with something titled Body. I haven't met anybody since that somebody that embodies that special spirit in her body to give her my body and get her body by my body. If you possess that spirit within your body, I'll caress your flesh and embrace your body. Each and every single one of your lovely bones from skull to toes. Oh, so serious. Love shakes your equilibrium, causes delirium. It's the epitome of pleasantry, capable of filling that bottomless pit in my body is heavenly. How we mix like chemistry. Without it, I'm less of me. But don't pity me. The epiphany is that it's a testament that the testaments hold answers to certain tests for me, so that she can look and see to say that he who is I embodies that special spirit in my body to connect with me, mind, soul, and body, but body, baby. Thank you for enjoying We are all poetry all the time. Remember, poetry is international. Thank you.
Thank you.